finish that off with AEW, and let's move on to WWE. And we are going to be focusing on the Slammy Awards. We're going to be focusing on WrestleMania 40 because next time when we are on a podcast, it'll be night 2 of WrestleMania 40. So this is the show where we're going to discuss the match card, our predictions. Where do we think it's going to go? What's going to happen? Are there any additional matches that are going to be introduced? This is the episode. So the Slammy Awards were a staple for like 3 separate eras, basically. They had it in the 1980s, and it was kind of a vehicle to introduce, sell the WWE like music, the theme songs. A really specific segment that I remember DX used in 2006 with Vince McMahon, Hulk Hogan on bass, Macho Man on the trumpets. He called it. I think it was called "Stand Back, Stand Back." Stand Back.
That's where it's from. Is the Slammy Awards? That was
yeah.
I remember that. I remember that segment though. I love that segment.
Well, Vinnie Mac did that dance.
Yeah, the fucking gyrations and the little like that. You know that no one else gave him that script. That man created that segment himself. He choreographed it himself. That was entirely from that crazy ass mind of Vince McMahon with all the wrestlers. And also, by the way, Hulk Hogan actually was playing bass on that. I don't think Macho Man was doing the trumpet, but Hulk Hogan was definitely doing some bass in that segment.
Former bassist of Metallica, dude.
Hulk Hogan? Yeah. That's what he says.
That's what he likes to say, brother.
But the Slammy Awards have been a tradition. They've been on and off. They were on during the 80s. There was a brief pause. They had them during the 90s. If you guys are following our social media channel, I actually highlighted the 1997 Slammy Awards, which took place in Chicago at the Westin Hotel, which I don't know if it exists anymore, but it was the lead up to WrestleMania 13, and that the biggest match of that night was Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart. That's the famous one where he didn't tap out because he was bleeding so much. And he passed out in the ring, and then you basically had the heel face flip in that match. So that the Slammy Awards then went on a hiatus for a little while, and they didn't come back until 2008 or so. The Slammy Awards essentially in the 2000s were a way to increase Raw's ratings because they were stagnating a little bit. Honestly, back then they were still higher than they are now, but that's just the evolution of television, and I'll get off that rant. But yeah, in the 2000s, I'm sure, Chris, you remember, and you guys remember when you were watching the Slammy Awards, there were a lot of good segments that I remember. I remember Batista basically kind of doing the Kanye thing where he interrupted Maria. I think it was Maria. And he was in his pink polo and he was talking about, himself. And yeah, that was a really good match. There were some weird ones now looking back, like AJ Lee winning. It was like the best kiss match. And basically she was making out with Dolph Ziggler while Vicky Guerrero was like screaming behind her because Vicky Guerrero was like in this. This was the next boy toy that she was with following Edge was Dolph Ziggler. So some cringy stuff, some very entertaining nominees, but we also had again another pause, and then they came back again. David, did you remember the Slammy Awards in 2020 when it was the pandemic? Do you recall that specific one? Because a lot of people enjoy that one because R-Truth was so focused. He was a big focus of that Slammy Award season.
That I don't remember.
Yeah, but there was a lot of the Slammy Awards. Basically, they had the 2020 one, and I don't think it came back until this year, which they announced is taking place at WWE World, which is an event revolving around WrestleMania 40. And I don't think that the previous WrestleMania Slammys, at least the most recent iteration, I don't know if they involved fan votes. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But this year, they made a focus of it being chosen by the fans, which I think is the right thing. I know the Slammy Awards were an additional vehicle to progress storylines, but I think you can do that while also having the fans determine the winners, which I think just makes a bigger involvement for the fans, and they'd enjoy it. So WWE revealed the nominees for this year. There are 11 entries. You can vote, and I also voted as soon as they announced it. And then, David, you showed me the link because I thought it was just like the nominees. So I clicked it again, and I voted for my versions. But they have a number of categories this year. They have Female Superstar of the Year, Male Superstar of the Year, Best Entrance, Return of the Year, Faction of the Year, Rivalry of the Year, NXT Superstar of the Year, Match of the Year, OMG Moment of the Year, Social Star of the Year, and Breakout Superstar of the Year. So we'll go down the list here, and we're going to talk about the nominees and who we think should be winning this specific award. If you guys feel like none of them deserve it and there's someone else you feel like deserves it, let the people know, because I think that's also pretty entertaining. But we'll start with the Female Superstar of the Year. So our nominees for this year are Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Bayley, and Io Sky, and Becky Lynch. Personally, I think that it should be Rhea Ripley for obvious reasons. She main evented the Elimination Chamber. She's been completely dominant with her championship. She is very viral on social media. They recently did that whole stink face thing with Nia Jax. That was pretty funny. And that's been making the rounds, but it's just another layer of her superstardom. But
Okay,
what do you guys think? Let's do round robin. Go with David. We'll do David, Andres, then Chris, and he might have disappeared. But we'll start with you, David. Who do you think should win Female Superstar of the Year?
I think it's definitely going to Rhea Ripley. Like, on top of what you said, she's also like on the cover of 2K.
Yeah,
Bianca Belair gets to share that honor, but just everything going on with Rhea Ripley definitely seems like it's her time.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, no, you just might as well cap her off as, Female Wrestler of the Year. She's on fire right now.
You agree?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
How about you, Chris? You gonna do something controversial?
No, it's got to be Rhea Ripley, baby.
You're like, nah.
The cake.
The obvious choice.
Oh,
Quiet for
the
a minute.
cake. No, it's got to be Rhea Ripley. She's just too
Yeah,
dominant. She's just too dominant.
Like, it's the obvious choice. Like these other women are all talented, and Bayley's on her way to being back on top, but that hasn't happened yet. You have Becky Lynch, but I still feel like she is still kind of like in the background a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't know if it may be because I feel like her time passed. Like, she had the whole man thing, she went up, but I feel like it's not as bright as Rhea Ripley's star right now. So I think that Rhea Ripley deserves this award. Now, yeah, let's move on to the Male Superstar of the Year. We got Cody Rhodes. Maybe this one is going to be a little more controversial. Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Seth freaking Rollins. I don't know why they got to keep saying freaking, but they do. Gunther and Logan Paul, which is interesting. All right, David, who do you got for Male Superstar of the Year?
I think they're going to throw
why?
a swerve. I think they're going to throw a swerve and give it to Logan Paul.
I was going to say the same thing.
I think if...
But it's fan votes. What do you mean?
No, it's fan votes except for that
Unless
one.
rigged.
It's rigged.
I think Logan Paul's going to do like when Owen Hart won a Slammy and wouldn't shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I think
I got 2 Slammies. Woo!
Logan Paul route.
Yeah, okay. So, okay, this is what they want. What do you want? Do you want Logan Paul?
I'll give it to
What
Roman.
do you want?
I'll give
You
it to
give
Roman.
it to Logan.
Roman.
Oh, Roman. Okay,
Roman.
why? Why Roman? Why Roman Reigns?
Look at the title reign. Just
True.
going up.
It's true.
Look at the wins. Going up.
One's up.
True.
Undeniable. What about you, Andres?
I wanted to say Cody, but at the same time too, like, I can see Reigns getting it too. Like, like you said, he's got the accolades already going throughout this year. He's been winning. He hasn't lost, fair or not, but like he's still like a draw, and I can definitely see, he's like a heel, but people like him as a heel too. Like he's doing a great job fully and going to his character. He's evolved so well, and he's he still puts up really good matches too. So I can totally see them giving it to him too. Like why not? But Logan Paul being a thing too, I was thinking that too. I was like, I can see that. If it's fan voted, Logan Paul is very, very popular. And he's entertaining too. I mean, like he convinced me he's a very good wrestler. I wasn't sure. But watching his matches too, I'm pretty sold on him to be honest. Like he's a good entertainer.
Yeah, I mean, I also think his talent's undeniable. I like, oh God, you're a douchebag, but I have to give you your flowers. You are talented.
Absolutely.
Begrudgingly, I can't deny that. And I'll be honest, and I'm a man. I can be honest and say that you are good, even if I hate you. It's fine.
Yep.
Chris, what about you? Who do you think should win?
Do they have an option to like write somebody in? Is that a thing?
No.
Okay.
And other option,
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
other
I
people.
just want to make sure that's not an option because if it was,
No.
somebody would write in like The Rock or some shit, fucking Dwayne.
Well, he's in a different
Fine.
category, but
Okay.
not for male superstar of the year.
But
But
I mean-
for the whole year, he just came back.
I mean, Roman's in like 3 categories. But yeah, I would say Logan Paul, most likely.
Damn.
Yeah.
And that's who you want, or you just think that's who they're gonna give. Even though I said this is fan voted, you guys are all saying this shit's rigged. I'm saying
It is rigged.
well, because sometimes it's
Wrestling's
like
fake. Nah.
it's like Cyber Sunday or Taboo Tuesday, where it's the fans' choice, but they'll give like one really cool option and 3 super shitty options. So they're like, well, no one's gonna pick these 3 options. Like it's still technically fan voted, but they decide what options are on there.
I could, if I personally was gonna choose somebody, I'd probably say Gunther, as far as like male superstar of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, but I could see them or the people putting Logan Paul over.
I will be the obvious and say Cody Rhodes, and I do want Cody Rhodes to win this. I mean, again, like maybe some people will call him like a pick me bitch or whatever because like he's doing all these extra things like, oh, I'm going to this person's wedding or I'm signing this weight belt and I'm pulling this kid out from the crowd. But honestly, it's kind of cool. And I know that like when it was John Cena, people were complaining about it because he's for kids or whatever. But I feel like, I mean, again, I like John Cena, so I'm not. But I mean, like from that Mark's perspective, Cody Rhodes as a human being or a wrestler has had a different trajectory in terms of superstardom. With John Cena, he was like basically he was the prototype. That's what they called him, the prototype initially, right? And he had the physique, he had the look. He was basically a superstar 3 years in. He did say he had his failures, but with Cody Rhodes, he's had like so many. Adversities, that's the right word I was looking for. Adversities in terms of his character, his build. He started, he was Cody Rhodes. He came out in those Legend of Zelda green tights with the one armband. He had the Triforce on his boots, and he was in Legacy, and he was kind of there for a little while, and then he was doing the whole dashing Cody Rhodes thing, and then he had the mask, and then he had the mustache, and then he had the Stardust character, and then they didn't know what the hell to do with that, and he had all this shit, and then he left, and then he bet on himself. He went to the Indies, like he did this entire story of then creating a wrestling company, being an alternative, leaving that wrestling and coming back. Like that shit's crazy. There's nobody else who has had a trajectory like Cody Rhodes, and again, you can make the argument for Roman Reigns to be superstar of the year. You have sellouts from every arena. 15 shows straight, they've had sellout shows. Like that's pretty nuts, and they haven't had that in years. You have the best storytelling in 20 years, and Roman Reigns is at the top. So a lot of people can argue, Cody Rhodes it's gonna be his time, but the guy who's on top is Roman Reigns. He's main eventing twice, I mean, same with Cody Rhodes, but I'm going to give it to Cody for male superstar of the year. And I hope he wins. We'll see. We'll see, because I think they're streaming it. I don't know if it's only specifically for fan events, but that'd be interesting to watch live, because I think they should also be doing those speeches and kind of tying in their storylines. But we'll move on to best entrance. So the song, the fireworks, the gravitas, when you hear that first note, you got you got 8. And there's one, they specifically specify which one from Dominic Mysterio. So you got Cody Rhodes, you got Roman Reigns, Bianca Belair, Seth Rollins, Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, The Rock, and then Dominic Mysterio specifically, WrestleMania 39, and that's the one where he came out of a cop car. Being the guy who said he was from the Slammer, which I think is still like the
Dirty
best
dog.
thing that he's done. That shit's ridiculous. But let's start from the top. David, who do you think has the best entrance out of these guys?
It's going to Dirty Dom.
Yeah.
It's going
Yep.
to
That shit was hard.
hard.
Once again, whether or not we vote for it, it's going to Dirty Dom.
Especially because they specified WrestleMania 39 entrance. Everyone else could have had a specification, but they didn't do that.
Yeah, everyone has a good WrestleMania entrance, really, right? Like,
Just another tool to throw a Slammy in somebody's face and be like, "Look at me."
Well, what about you personally? So, do you still think
Personally,
it
I
should
still
be
think it
Dominic?
is him. Yeah.
Okay.
Give him something to work with.
Yeah. How about you, Andres?
it's a tie for me. It's either between Seth or Cody, because when the crowd is really into the song where they're singing it back,
Mhm.
you know, that interaction already alone is like the whole arena is with you in that song, you know, like they know you by that. So you get the pop when it plays, and then they're actually still into the song to where they actually won't even cut the music because they're just standing there like awing in it, or they're singing with the crowd too. So if I had to pick one, I'd probably say Cody.
Okay.
Like people are literally going the whole whoa, you know, like it's cool. I love that, you know. Because the one thing about being a big wrestler too, you got to have a song that pops too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's why all these big guys have them. So like, and you know, Cody's up there now, and he's got one of the most interactive songs with the crowd. So I'd say between Seth and Cody, but I think it's gonna be Cody. That's
You
what
know
I'm playing.
that detail with the woe thing, I think, which is, so I don't know who pointed it out. It was somebody on X, I'm sure. But the woe thing is in every single iteration of his theme song that he's ever had. The
Yep.
woe part. There was like a remix. He started with like, you know, whoa, you know, smoking meter, blah blah blah, and it kept, that specific part kept showing up. But like this song wasn't created specifically for him, right?
Yeah,
Or
it
did
was.
the band make it? It was.
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
made-
well, there you go. That's pretty nuts. So he has this, you know, the creativity is like firing on all cylinders with him. Like he knows his character and what he wants, which again is another thing of a top tier superstar. But Chris, what about you?
Our Lady Peace. When you hear that, nah, I'm just kidding.
Chris Benoit's not a nominee. Sorry.
Can we set the record straight though? Is it Rhea Ripley, like you keep saying Rhea, or is it Rhea Ripley? Which one is it?
I forgot how she says it, but I'm gonna say Rhea Ripley.
But you be saying Rhea Ripley though. But anyways,
I use it interchangeably.
okay. I mean, I would say my heart says Cody Rhodes, but I feel like The Rock is gonna somehow like take over, interject himself somehow as being the TKO final boss man and make himself win it.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
I thought that too, because like his song, man, when it hits, you know, like literally the whole electricity goes through the arena. When I went to Raw 1000 and he came out, yeah, literally,
He's gonna be like
that entrance was like boom, like everyone like just jumped, screaming, like everyone.
It's
But
iconic.
I don't know.
he's
It's
gonna be like,
no, that's weird.
it doesn't matter who you vote for, and he just takes that shit out of whoever's hands.
Trophy. That'd be fun.
But I feel like if you're gonna have like the best song or entrance, I'd say you need lyrics too, though. That's the one thing where I think where Cody would win.
Yeah, Cody for sure.
The crowd
I know.
sings it.
I know personally, me in the gym, I've been listening to that shit like at least over 100
You
times
did
at this
karaoke
point.
too.
Yeah, karaoke,
You did karaoke at your house
Yeah.
last time we were all there.
too good. It's
I
too
didn't
good.
realize how long of a song that was either. I'm
The
like, damn,
Green Day Master.
Chris is on it though. Yeah, that was funny though. It's good though.
Chris, the Green Day Master. And
Dude.
Oh yeah, and he did it for a while. Yeah.
Doing duos with
Stayed longer.
Nisa.
I left. I was like, I gotta go.
Got a whole Green Day medley. That was funny. I'm gonna be a little controversial, or maybe it's not controversial, but I'm gonna pick Roman Reigns as the best entrance because I still feel like his entrance is very. Like The Rock says final boss, but the Roman Reigns. Honestly, up until The Rock, because now I'm not sure about Roman Reigns' entrance since The Rock showed up. It kind of feels like that energy got diverted into The Rock. But Roman Reigns, he feels like an event when he comes out. Like you hear that initial, whoa, and then everyone gets up. Everyone's got the fucking finger. Everyone is like this is what I'm waiting for. Like this main segment that involves Roman Reigns. And I'm going to give it to him purely based on that, like gravitas of his entrance. Again, with the whole thing, with the Paul Heyman, with the title belt, with him coming out,
the shitty
CGI, the shitty
the
PS1 character.
He got a new one.
Yeah, dude.
Does he?
I still can't believe they kept that still a thing. I'm surprised that's not updated yet. Like, what the hell?
No.
Yeah, it's PS2. But I'm gonna give it to Roman. I think.
All right, fair.
Object like I again, my heart Cody Rhodes, but also for me, my heart and like logic, like I think it's Roman Reigns is undeniable.
Acknowledge him.
Return of the year. For me, this is obvious, but we'll go down the nominees: CM Punk, The Rock, Nia Jax, Randy Orton, and Naomi. David, let's see. What do you got? Something controversial?
Let's give it to The
Shoot
Rock.
from the hip. The Rock? Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Giving it to The Rock. No one expected him to be back, and then better yet at this capacity.
And it's true.
Yeah.
I was not expecting his level of involvement. Like I'm back, but I'm also now on the board of directors, like actually on the board of directors, and I'm also just involved in the week-to-week storylines. I was not expecting that. That's a good choice.
Yeah, I think he's shown up more than CM Punk before.
He has. More than Roman Reigns, actually. He's shown up more than Roman Reigns this year.
That's funny. He's not confirmed for Raw, is he?
No, he's confirmed for Brooklyn. So for April, for the Raw before WrestleMania, but not for tomorrow. But who knows? He might surprise us because they're like, well, CM Punk is enough to sell out the crowd. Maybe we'll keep some surprises, but we'll see. What about you, Andres?
Like my heart would probably go with like Randy Orton. I mean, he was gone for a while, had a bad injury and stuff like that, came back and stuff, and it was cool he was in better shape than he's been in like probably ever. I mean, he was like jacked too, Yeah, it was a great match.
That's nuts.
Yeah, he looked amazing. I was like, wow, like good for him. And he came out, and then like, yeah, I know. I probably feel though it's gonna probably maybe be. I don't want to say, but it probably will be Punk too.
Don't let me persuade you, man.
No, but I don't know. I feel like because his reaction was good too. I mean, like he had a really good. That was even more unexpected than anything. I feel
like we knew he was going to work. Reaction. They were like almost falling asleep, and I was like,
"What?"
Everybody else.
He's like, "Yeah."
This was like we expected it, but we did not expect it like right then and right there. Like even Triple H said when they had the press conference, it was like lightning in a bottle. It just kind of just happened. So I feel like it'll be that moment, but I personally would like Randy Orton.
All right, Chris. We
were like asleep and shit, and this motherfucker like that crack kid at it again. He said, "Yeah!" That shit was like, holy shit.
I got out of my chair.
Yeah. We were like,
nothing on your lap.
That shit went flying. Yeah, I'd probably say CM Punk. Like, I mean, that was truly shocking. I would say that was definitely a shocking return. I mean, like all the speculation was there, but like, I mean, I think everybody kind of knew it, but it was like the way it was done with the like, okay, it's like everything's done. Let's roll the trademark logo or whatever, and then it's like, and you're like, ah, what the?
Yeah,
fuck?
Yeah.
static.
It was a
Mm.
swerve.
NXT
It made you think it was over.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
the other
smart
thing.
though.
Yeah, I mean, you know what my answer is going to be? It's CM Punk, obviously. Like that was the biggest surprise of 2023. Like I was not like you're wishing and hoping it is. Like we're like because in your brain you're using patterns like, oh, Chicago Survivor Series, left AEW, trying to connect the dots. I'm sure he wants to come back, and you're wishing and hoping, and then they didn't do anything during the match, and like you said, they had the all rights reserved logo, and then they pan out and just show the arena, the Allstate Arena, and then you hear the fucking static, and I went out of my chair. I was like, holy shit. And oh my God, like I don't know how many times I actually rewatched that clip of him coming back with like the audio. Like that is like that you said crack it, that is like crack. Like listening to that visceral reaction to when he came back. Like that shit is like like that's like a generational reaction. That's like on par with Attitude Era, if not more. Like you know, like The Rock or Triple H or Jericho winning the belt in like 2000, or like that kind of reaction was what happened when he came out. It was like euphoria. Like honestly, like it was crazy. So that purely for that reason, I think he has the return of the year. And also, thank you, Allstate Arena Acoustics, which helped with that.
Yep.
Just real quick.
Yeah.
I finished watching Walking Dead, and there was a
The
scene.
whole thing.
The whole damn thing. And
Oh my God.
there's a scene in, I think it was the last episode or the episode before it. Anyways, they use like music to draw away the walkers or whatever, and they fucking hit Cult of Personality. I was like, oh my God, fucking
What the
CM Punk's coming out, bro.
I didn't know that. That's funny.
No, that was pretty sick ass scene because like they
Did they
have.
explain why that song worked? Did they
Why?
explain why?
I mean, they've done it before in the series. Like they would just play some music
Did they?
because it's the
I
sound
know.
specifically that draws them to wherever the fuck the music's coming from. But they just so happen to pick that song. You know, just funny because they have it playing through the speakers, and then it's like just like a montage. But then they just start playing the song and they're doing all this badass shit. I was like, oh shit, that's sick.
Well, CM Punk was on the Talk of the Dead, wasn't he, or something?
Was
like
he?
An after show.
Oh, he might have
He was
been.
on it.
I forgot about that.
He was on that, like, it was like after, they would just have a discussion.
Yeah, he
it
was
was
a
like
big
right
fan.
after he walked out on WWE. It was like literally like within like the same few months. It was his first appearance. He was like on that show.
Talking Dead. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about
Yeah,
that shit.
Talking Dead, that's what it was. Yeah, he was on there. Because I remember like people were like raving about it like after the walkout that he did.
I feel like
So-
Walking Dead was kind of like the show that kind of kickstarted that like follow-up talk show, because there are a bunch of other ones that do it now. Like Star Trek has the Ready Room.
The press
so-
conferences.
Yeah, like the follow-up, like talking about the episode, or like Game of Thrones, for example. Like a lot of those big tentpole shows. All right, now we talked about the return of the year. Let's talk about the faction of the year. So this one for me is a little more gray. So you got the Judgment Day, you got Alpha Academy, Imperium, the Bloodline, and Damage Control. I feel like they all got pretty good years, but let's again go around the room and let me know what you guys think. David, what do you think for faction?
To give it to Judgment Day, I will. Damage Control is a close second for me, but they've broken up. Well, at least they lost Bailey. Same
Yeah.
with Bloodline. I don't personally feel they're like as strong as a presence as they were with Jay.
Yeah.
Mainly from like the match standpoint, because like Jimmy and Jay do good singles matches, and they do well enough to carry on a story. But Jay does it a little better, and it like I don't. Other than the LA Knight stuff, I can't really think of too much Jimmy other than interfering in Roman matches, and same with Solo. Like Solo's gonna go into his second Mania with no match other than
Mm-hmm.
spiking somebody at some point through it.
Exactly. He doesn't. If he feels like he doesn't have I mean, he's like the guy who interferes, but he doesn't have anything beyond that role right now. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
no real feuds. He's just kind of more of like a tool that just shows up, gives him the thumb and the neck, fucks off.
Walk around just like this.
It just like has a mug, talks silently, and that's it. That's just kind of his character right now. He has some matches, but not that many. Very few, far between, and then nothing really going for him. So that's a
I
good
think
one.
Rock shouldn't have said that shit where he was like, "Oh, you should hear Solo sing the national anthem or whatever." Like,
You thought it kind of took his character down a peg?
yeah, like I feel like Solo should have like put his hand in his face or something.
Doesn't make him as
Intimidating.
menacing
Yeah,
like that. It humanized them a little bit more, and that's not really what you want with the bloodline anyway. But Andres, what about you? Faction of the year?
I'm gonna go with Damage Control. I've actually really liked them. I remember like when we first saw them appear at WrestleMania. It was like such a good idea that they put those trio together. So the reason why I'm going with them now is because there's still that infighting. Like this is still a Damage Control fight. Like this is the people who started it are now fighting each other at the end of it all. You know.
Right.
So I'm curious to see the conclusion. So I like the whole. I don't know. Like I was. It felt like they were building up to this betrayal, anyways. You know, that was like the obvious point coming. But I'm excited to see like where it's going because I thought like they'd be more conflicted infighting within Damage Control, but now that they had the Kabuki Warriors part of it too, I'm just like, wow, it's actually a different group, but like
Right.
because of the rivalry between Bailey and Io Sky, I'm more intrigued with that because to me that's still a Damage Control like storyline.
Yes.
So I say for what they've, because it looked like when they first came out, like these are all like three amazing talents. Like, what do we do with them? Like, so they kind of threw them together because I know like two of them weren't even technically with the company anymore, right? At that point, I think Bailey was the one that like got Triple H to call Dakota, and I think
Mhm.
maybe Io might have been gone for a second too, and they just brought him right back. So their evolution and stuff like that. So that's why I'm kind of like more intrigued to see them probably take it.
And Kyrie was gone for a while too, and she came back.
It was, and she
in
came
the
back.
latest
So
iteration.
yeah. So I just because of the whole like I'm so sorry, I got a notification. I think just because of the whole like infighting and the story, like where it's going, I'm very intrigued. I'm probably more intrigued by that. So let's see
Yeah.
where it goes.
That's fair. What about you, Chris? Faction of the year.
I mean, that means 2024 then, I'm assuming, right?
Well, it means WrestleMania because if you look at the other nominees when we're talking about with Dominic WrestleMania 39, so you're basically looking at WrestleMania 39 up to
Now.
40, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, up to now.
Ooh, I mean, I'd probably say Bloodline then. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably Bloodline. But it's
Yeah.
it's between Bloodline and Judgment Day. But as far as like cohesive unit, because I mean, it really comes down to Judgment Day. It's like honestly, it's Rhea Ripley and friends. That's the way I kind of look at it. So I would say it's like a cohesive unit. It's Bloodline, even though I guess you could argue it's Rock and Friends now. But I mean, for sure,
Yeah.
The Rocket Friends. That's funny.
But for the majority of the Bloodline, I would say they were more or less a unit. They just had a lot more stuff that was happening together versus like, all right, you have a match, now you have a match, like with Judgment Day. So yeah, I would say Bloodline.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's a good choice. I think I was going to lean towards Bloodline because of the dominance that they had at WrestleMania 39, and because this time window includes that WrestleMania, that's why I would kind of lean towards the Bloodline. With the Bloodline, with Damage Control, they both had their shares of shakeups and breakups and shifts. I think Damage Control overall, in terms of like the person by person pure like aura, I think they have more based on like the amount of talent that they had in it. There's in the Bloodline, it feels like it's The Rock and Roman Reigns. Jimmy is he's kind of there, like he hasn't done much, and you guys mentioned Solo Sikoa, who's kind of there. So like, because with Damage Control, you got tag team champions, you have the women's champion, and they're all in there. With Judgment Day, they had the tag belts, They lost it. You have a guy who's a Money in the Bank winner, which is good, but he's not a champion yet. And you have Rhea Ripley, who's been dominant. So, I mean, it is difficult, but I think I'm going to give it to the Bloodline. Now, with Alpha Academy, they're entertaining, but I think if I was supposed to rank these entire factions, they would be at the bottom purely based on championships and, you know, match wins. Imperium, no one mentioned, but again, like you have Gunther, who's been the Intercontinental Champion, and he now has the longest. He has a record for the longest reign as an Intercontinental Champion. So, I mean, that in and of itself is amazing, but that's for Gunther. And if we're looking at Imperium as a whole, like the Creator Wrestler #1 and his other partner is they're kind of there too, you know, like they've had good matches and they've won and they've shown in their instances that they can be dominant, but it feels more like the Gunther show than like Imperium as a whole is threatening. So
Duh. No.
yeah, duh. Ring general. That was funny, but you know, I'm gonna go with Damage Control.
Oh damn! They did Bloodline. Now Damage Control.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm gonna make a case for this. I'm gonna go with Damage Control. But like there are some pluses and minuses. Honestly, it's kind of hard. At that point, you're just kind of like comparing, you know, awesome with awesome. So I don't know, but yeah, I'm gonna pick Damage Control because they also deserve more love. I feel like the Bloodline sucks up a lot of the energy. I mean, rightfully so, but I also think Damage Control deserves their flowers too. Rivalry of the year. We got Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. We got Dirty Dom versus Ray. You got Bianca versus Damage Control. You got Roman Reigns versus Cody and R-Truth versus the Judgment Day. Now,
yeah,
that's some interesting. They got some interesting options here. But David, who do you think is on your list?
This was honestly like this one's kind of tough because it's not real. Like I don't feel like Dom and Ray are done.
Mm-hmm.
And then Roman and Cody have had one match and 5 billion promos.
Yeah.
You know what?
Well, take all of that into account. Take into account the promos, even if it's the one match, but like the whole package of like what is currently being offered to you, like what you've seen from all of these people. Like who do you think has the most compelling rivalry?
I'll give it to Seth and Drew. Drew wasn't supposed to even have any more matches against Seth, and then he won the Chamber. And then I think that just how Drew McIntyre has kind of finessed his way back into the main the title scene. I think it'll pay off well. And just like how even he's like, you're not paying attention to me. You should be paying attention to me. You shouldn't be worried about the bloodline and stuff like that. Yep. I think Drew will take it away.
That's a good one. Andres?
Yeah, I would probably go with Drew and Seth Rollins rivalry. Especially since Drew was like he was playing like the neutral card for a minute, and then he did the whole thing against Punk, turning like straight heel with it, having fun with it, and then but also not feeling like he's getting the enough tension to be in the scene where he's at, especially with the title coming up, you know, in WrestleMania and stuff like that. So I think he's doing a good job being a heel, and then Seth is also doing a good job, you know, being the face of it, but also like not actually, you know, like you said, paying attention to his opponent. So creating that rivalry between themselves and kind of making it personal, and also dragging CM Punk's name through the mud like horribly and making a shirt on it too. So being comical at the same time. It's just like it's like random, it's weird, but I do enjoy it from what I see of it. So I think for that's probably my favorite rivalry.
Chris?
R-Truth's taking it, dude.
Duh. R-Truth?
Yeah, I mean, you put his name. Well,
it's fan voted.
Here's why. I mean, it's like you put his name. He's so fucking likable. It's like, who cares? Where's R-Truth at? Like, oh, he's in this list. I'm gonna vote for him. Like, I think it's honestly as simple as that for a lot of people, for like fans. So that's why I think he's for sure gonna take that shit. No doubt in my mind, because you want him to go up on the stage and do the whole fucking R-Truth thing, right? And
Yeah.
He still will, even if he doesn't. He'll just pretend he thinks he won and be like, "Oh, wait a minute, guys."
100%. So it's not even about the rivalry. It's like, oh, our truth on the list. Fuck it, voting for his ass. You know,
I agree, and then my pick again. It's gonna be. It might sound a little contradictory, depending on like just as I'm walking through this right now live. So like in terms of like visceral reactions of like I really want you to beat this guy's ass at like Rey Mysterio versus Dom was like really a sticking point to me. Like that whole lead up to WrestleMania 39. And just him like finally whooping out that fucking belt and starting beating his ass, like that was just like it felt like yes, this is like there's a visceral reaction when I saw that. And again, like the whole thing, like whenever Dominic Mysterio comes out and he has a mic in his hand and you can't hear anything that he says because the boos are so loud, that kind of adds to his character. So like having it like being an actual son and father and him being like just such a little shit heel and like Rey Mysterio finally getting the one up on him. I just that's just so it's like very classic, but it's just they do it so well. So I kind of want to give it to them. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. It's it's like the obvious choice, right? But like they had the match at WrestleMania 39 and there was that big break in between, which is again why I said it's contradictory because same thing with Ray because they went on separate brands. So there's an argument for that. R-Truth versus Judgment Day, I also think should win too, just because it was the most out of these, it was the most entertaining for me rivalry. Rivalry. I don't even know. Like it was like they kind of like they kind of liked him, kind of didn't. Like he was in there, he had a shirt. Then they all beat the crap out of him. Like it's whatever R-Truth is on or whatever he does or whatever is behind his like creative mind. It's just genius. Just like his delivery, his approach to it, like his whole character. And yeah, I feel like I'm gonna give it to R-Truth in the Judgment Day because it was just really fun to watch. So
Actually, I got a quick question real fast.
yes.
What would you say is more entertaining, R-Truth and Judgment Day, or Sami Zayn and the Bloodline?
I'd give it to Sami Zayn and the Bloodline probably. Like if it was like if you and this is going to be in the upcoming one. There was I think the match with Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber. That was pretty top tier shit, but I'll save that for later. But okay, so this one, NXT Superstar of the Year. I'll have to admit that I haven't seen a lot of NXT, but the people who are on here I've seen on SmackDown and Raw, so I can offer a little bit of insight into these people. But we got Ilya Dragunov, Carmelo Hayes, Lyra Valkyria, Tiffany Stratton, Braun Breaker. Let's go around and see, like, who do we think should be NXT Superstar of the Year, David? If you got one for you, Dragunov. I mean, yeah, from the pay-per-views I've seen, that's a good pick.
Yeah, he's one of those guys where it's like you kind of wonder. It's like, oh, yo, did anybody tell him this shit was fake?
Yes. That's a good description.
Yeah, Dragunov's down 4 is brutal, bro. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Pretty much, though. But yeah, no, I give it to Dragunov. Just the quality of match he puts on, even like the type of match, like the super strong style, like is this real type of vibe. I really enjoy it, especially like in where WWE gets a lot of flack for not necessarily putting on those type of matches. He's found a way to do it his way in like a WWE setting. Him and Gunther have had really good matches, and I can't wait for them to have like a match on the main roster.
That's gonna pop off. Just based on like the handful of matches that I've seen from Dragunov on PLEs. I mean, he sells like a motherfucker. Like I can't tell if he like actually injured himself. Like just his expressions and like you said, the delivery of his moves. It just feels like a really hard hitting, I can't tell if he's actually punching this guy for real or yeah, he's just a really good seller. um, Andres, who would you out of these have an opinion on for NXT
Um,
Superstar of the Year?
I'm kind of like you. I kind of really like no, haven't really seen terribly too much of NXT, but I can go with the one that I've seen more of. Probably Braun Breaker. I mean, he was getting a good push for a while there, and his matches aren't like they're pretty good. You know, like I found them pretty entertaining, well enough. And but I know he's like obviously still like discovering a lot of himself. But I did see a little bit of Dragunov too, and it was really good. So I don't know, but I'm more familiar with Braun Breaker, so I guess I would say him.
That's a good choice.
But yeah, but unfortunately I didn't really see a lot of NXT either throughout the year, so that's probably why I would go with the more familiar with them.
Chris?
Oh, it's Tiffy time, baby.
It's
Mhm.
never done. Yeah.
I mean that Becky Lynch feud she had was really good, and she's just overall good women's wrestler. So I'd say she deserves that NXT Wrestler of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, with from what I've seen with Carmelo Hayes, I do think he has that it factor, but I don't think for me he's at the point where I can see like a Tiffany Stratton or a Braun Breaker, who I feel like they're approaching that top where they're basically at the point of no return, where they're like a superstar, like top tier, and I could see that with Braun Breaker and Tiffany Stratton in terms of their matches, but also just them as characters. There's this gravitas in that word again, like you see in Roman Reigns, and I don't know what it is. It's just the way that they carry themselves in their matches, outside of the matches, in their promo work. I was really impressed with Tiffany Stratton during her Elimination Chamber stuff. I've seen some of the way she interacts with fans outside of the show. I'm gonna give it to Tiffany Stratton. I also agree with you, Chris, on that, and I do think she's gonna be the next. She'll be the next Tiffany Stratton, but she'll be like Trish Stratus if I had to compare someone to that. Um, all right, match of the year. We got a lot of very specific matches for match of the year. We have Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest at Backlash 2023 in San Juan, Puerto Rico. You got Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn at Elimination Chamber 2023. You got Gunther versus Chad Gable at Raw of September 4th, 2023. You got Asuka versus Bianca versus Charlotte at SummerSlam 2023. And you got Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 39. So out of those, David, which one do you think should be match of the year?
I give it to Priest and Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny's definite like he's not Logan Paul, but he's definitely like got rid of that celebrity wrestler stench.
Right.
That we watched that PLE together, and just like the atmosphere overall out there in Puerto Rico.
Oh my
I
God,
think,
another level.
Yeah.
I think that's like another thing you got to consider in match of the year is like crowd engagement. And I mean, they're crazy the whole time, but them being able to see Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, who are both Puerto Ricans, go out there and do their thing, and then LWO comes out and Savio Vega and all that other good stuff. I think,
And Carlito.
yeah, I think if anything, like encapsulates what a WWE match is supposed to be, especially with like when they throw in the fact of like overbooking.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was a street fight, I think it was just like I think that clear match of the year.
That's a good one. Andres, any thoughts?
I I agree with David, but I was all kind of like leaning towards the Elimination Chamber match too. That was a very good one. With Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn.
Montreal, yeah.
Yeah, that was an astounding match. But I do remember but honestly the one in Puerto Rico actually really stuck with me more because yeah, the crowd engagement was phenomenal. And like you said, Bad Bunny's just not like a regular celebrity just showing up. Like he actually puts in the work too. Like like he's a pretty decent athlete. He's been in he gets invited all the time for a reason, right? I mean that's why he comes back. So, and for that match and yeah, for it being overcrowded, but they still delivered and like I said, it stuck with me. Just that whole like arena as a whole with the impact of everything going on. So I do really like the elimination one as well, but I think I'm gonna go with Damian Priest and Bad Bunny. Like that was an obvious winner too for that one, you know. But it was such a good build up for the whole match, and like it was a good amount of time for what it went for, and it was a great match. You know, both everyone involved did like a great part to it. So it was a good good story for what it was, and it ended nicely.
Yeah,
I was happy with that. Yeah,
that's good. Chris,
Speaking of hard workers, Stooge! If you're gonna give this motherfucker something, for fuck's sake, give Chad Gable the damn award, the Slammy Award, because that was a clinic as far as matches are concerned. And anything,
honestly,
anything that Chad Gable specifically does as far as in-ring work, I think is still severely underrated. Unfortunately, I feel like he should have won that last match, but it is what it is. So if you're gonna not give him something, at least give him the Slammy for that.
I feel like they'll insert him in the match, but we'll see. I honestly think that the Chad versus Gable versus Gunther match was really good, and it's so hard. Like you said, the Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest match. It is a combination, and I feel like it's important to include things like the audience because it does make a match sometimes. Like if you look at Hogan versus Rock, for example, if you look at pure mat wrestling of Hogan versus Rock, if you put that match on mute, it's not as good unless you had the crowd participation. So
that was in Canada too, right?
Yeah, and I think it was. Yeah.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto. Yeah, 18. So again, like the crowd always also makes the match. Same thing with like Money in the Bank 2011, CM Punk versus John Cena. Like that also made that match. Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest. Yeah, I was. I'm gonna wear that shirt that I got there tomorrow. It had a bunch of holes, and I had Patrick sew up some of those holes. So I might have like one last ride, like the Undertaker, but we'll see. But I'm gonna wear it tomorrow. Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest. Fuck. Yeah, that was a really good match. Because, like you said, David, like all those, like they had the Savio Vega, they had the fucking Carly, like just like the whole thing. Also like the Zelina Vega match. I mean, it's not part of it, but it's also kind of part of just like the overall story.
Backlash.
Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn was really good because that was like a match where I'm like, shit, maybe Sami Zayn is going to win. Like it was like one of those kind of builds and feuds where I'm like, if there was a place where he dropped the belt, it would be in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, where Sami Zayn was kind of from. And it had me on the edge of my seat. I feel like that one, if I was looking at like, again, pure visceral reaction, like what I feel, like what am I feeling during the match and the near falls, and I combine all of that and what I feel afterwards, I'm going to have to give it to Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn. All right, let's run through these. So OMG Moment of the Year. So you got Mysterio punching Dirty Dom. You got CM Punk returning to WWE. You got Io Sky cashing in her Money in the Bank contract. You got The Rock slapping Cody Rhodes at the press conference. Damage Control turning on Bayley. You got Cody slapping The Rock on SmackDown. Which one sticks out to you the most, David?
Different slaps.
I give it to Punk.
Yeah.
Give it to Punk. Even though I knew he'd be there.
You did?
Yeah. I knew he'd be there. Even though I seen him return to two different organizations in the same year.
Like, oh, we just saw him at Collision.
Yeah, I literally see him at Collision in June, and here we are in November.
It just hits different because it's like weird seeing him in a WWE ring.
But props to Punk for being able to pull it off.
Andres?
Absolutely, yeah. The CM Punk return was the biggest OMG. It was so out of nowhere, really. And we were just saying earlier how smart they did it. Like they literally made it seem like the show was ending. Like, you know, you see the logo, it's over. Oh wait, no, it's not. You know, like we all felt like they're you know, the rumors were circulating like he was coming, and it would make sense he'd be in Chicago. But like it just, you know, they caught it, like they pulled the swerve and got everyone on that stuff. So especially with Randy Orton coming back too, it was like, damn, you had 2 returns that night.
Yep.
You know, so it was. I felt like if he's not going to be at this one, it's going to be at the next thing. It could have been like this Raw. This Raw would have been his actual return, or maybe there was another show between. I don't know, but No, I'd say that was definitely like, damn, like holy crap, they actually did it. Like hell froze over, as they were saying on Twitter.
Well, now he'll be in an actual segment in Chicago, which will be fun because before it's just like I'm appearing, I'm here, but he didn't say anything, so it'll be interesting to see how it feels
Yeah.
like at Allstate. Chris,
Will he win 2 Slammies? Shit.
why not?
I'm saying CM Punk, I guess. Yeah, I mean that's just definitely a oh my god moment for sure. If you're gonna define any of them, Rock slapping Cody. I mean, everybody slaps a motherfucker in wrestling, so it's not too crazy. Although I could see it because it was just another really big trendy kind of thing that happened. That still of him slapping the fingers like across his face. Yeah, I'll probably say CM Punk.
I'm going to say CM Punk too, but I will say a close second was The Rock slapping Cody Rhodes, not just because of the specific moment, but that I'm actually seeing The Rock turning heel in 2024.
Yeah.
Which was something that I wasn't expecting, and I wasn't sure how I was feeling as it was going because you could feel that The Rock was turning heel, the way that he carried himself, and then how I finally talked about it. So that, in and of itself, was an OMG moment. So I'd give it to him. If it wasn't CM Punk, I'd give it to The Rock.
Yeah.
Social star of the year. So just people on social media taking advantage of it, I guess, just being very crafty. You got Grayson Waller, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, Chelsea Green, and Liv Morgan. Do we got any strong opinions on these folks, David?
Drew McIntyre,
It's got to be Drew, right?
player hater of the year.
I hate it. I mean, honestly, like his responses, anything that he tweets out, I just cackle like a bitch. Like it's really
workouts.
It's just so good. He like my favorite one is when he did like the AEW Rampage with that one fan and we had the mask on. He's crying because CM Punk came out and he like
Yeah, I remember that one.
that was so good.
Nice.
Andres, any?
Yeah, no,
thoughts?
same. Drew McIntyre is really playing into this character very well. I mean, on TV, but also in social media too. So absolutely him. He's been trolling. He's been memeing. Like whoever's in his sights, he's definitely doing a good job, like playing this character out. I like what Drew's been doing. It's been funny. It definitely
Chris?
keeps me entertained. The same thing I see at Crackle though.
That's good. Chris?
Internet champ. Woo, woo, woo. No, I'm just kidding.
Zack Ryder?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. No, I mean, I'd probably say Drew McIntyre. But I bet you Logan's going to clinch that shit.
Yeah, I agree. I think Logan Paul's going to win. But I'm also going to say Drew McIntyre because, again, he's just entertaining as hell. And I don't know how many other categories he might potentially win, but if there isn't any other one, give it to Drew. All right, Breakout Superstar of the Year. Last category, we got Jey Uso, Tiffany Stratton, Pretty Deadly, Dragon Lee, and LA Knight. David, who would you pick?
LA Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we all in agreement? LA Knight?
Yeah. Especially for last year, yeah, definitely.
I mean, honestly, yes. I think LA Knight too. Dragon Lee, Pretty Deadly, yeah. Tiffany Stratton, like Breakout in terms of, for me, it'd be like, oh, look, she's like here with Elimination Chamber. But I feel like LA Knight on the whole, like for the whole year, he's had a consistent like build of like popularity, promos. I don't know. I just think LA Knight is, again, like someone just had a really big impact in the past year.